back to Up Tempo on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Cynthia, Jesus died for our Cynthias.
Call us on the Impact Health Labs caller line at 254-339-1122.
Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts.
Now back to the Bears Den with Drake Toll.
Welcome back into the Petty Clinic Low T Bears Den. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's a big Wednesday in Baylor athletics. The men's and women's tennis teams both finding out where they've landed for the postseason. Baseball and softball coming up this weekend. And the biggest news that is news around Baylor and women's college basketball, Nicki Collen from the Atlanta Dream, now the head coach of your Baylor Bears. And joining the show today to help us talk about it, introduce us a little bit more to Coach Collen, is Karl Smesko, the head coach at Florida Gulf Coast University. Coach, thanks so much for coming on and joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Coach, here's where I want to start. You know, Nicki Collen, when she came to Florida Gulf Coast to be an assistant under you, had just come from a job at Arkansas where she'd been under her husband for a number of years and been in Fayetteville in the SEC. That didn't work out for those two at Arkansas, but then you took a chance, said, hey, I'm going to hire her. Why did you hire Nicki Collen?
Well, we had, over 200 people apply for the job, and she had the best resume. And when we interviewed her, she seemed like a perfect fit for what we were looking for. And she ended up just being an amazing assistant for the 2 years she was here.
Coach, when it comes to the philosophy that Nicki Collen has in basketball and in life in general, what did you see from her that really stood out to you?
Well, I mean, she is exceptionally bright. She's got a brilliant basketball mind. She's very easy to talk to. She connects with people. She just has a lot of passion for the game and shows a lot of joy coaching. And I just think everybody there is going to love her.
Coach, along with that, she's called herself a player's coach. We've heard her reference that at times before. And I know that looks different for every coach that says it. When she says player's coach, in how you saw her interact with your team, what does that mean for her?
Well, she definitely has standards, and she's definitely demanding and wants things done the right way. But she just has a lot of energy about her and enthusiasm, and she really connects with players on a personal level, and she invests the time in them. And that's why I think once the players see how knowledgeable she is and how invested she is in their success as players and as people, I think they'll be all in, and Baylor can expect great things.
Coach, for you and your programs, I mean, almost now double digits in Atlantic Sun tournament championships, almost double digits in Atlantic Sun Coach of the Year awards. You make the NCAA tournament almost every year. You've built really a powerhouse in the mid-major at Florida Gulf Coast University and a university women's basketball program that's now well known across the country. For her to walk into a program like that, how well did she fit into the winning culture that you've built with your program?
Well, it was actually really interesting because when we hired her and she came in for the first workouts, she was really quiet and really didn't say a word for about maybe 10 days or something like that. And, she was just really absorbing all the information. We use a much different vocabulary and terminology for a lot of things. And then when she did start to speak up and started to coach, it was really remarkable. She knew everything that all of our concepts, all of our principles, she knew the exact language, and she was really precise with using that language. She did it just like you would hope an assistant would do it. She spent the time to learn it and really have it mastered. And then when she went in to contribute, it was in great alignment with everybody else on our staff and how we do things. I don't think I've ever seen anybody pick up an entire system and terminology as quickly as she did when she was here. But, she came from the SEC where she just had tremendous success as a defensive coordinator. They had some of the best defenses at Arkansas. And she spent a lot of time on the defensive end for us, implementing our defense. And it was actually, it was still the FGCU defense. And we asked her to implement a different type of defense at our place. It wasn't exactly similar with what she was accustomed to. And in our first year, we were in the top 20 in the nation in total defense, points per possession. Her second year, we were 6th in the nation. And I typically play kids without a lot of length and maybe who you wouldn't think of as a really great defensive team. And she helped us be the 6th best defensive team in the nation the second year. A lot of times we'll have, really most of the time, we'll have 4 players on the floor when she was here that were 5'8" and shorter. And it kind of shows how adaptable she is. She could really work within any system and really make it better. And she took a lot of pride, and if she was involved in it, that it was going to be good.
Coach, moving from your program into the pros, I mean, she went straight from Florida Gulf Coast to the Connecticut Sun and then to the Atlanta Dream. Within 3-4 years of coaching for you, she was the WNBA Coach of the Year in 2018 with the Dream. At what point in your time alongside Nicki Collen did you know that she would end up being a fixture in the game of women's basketball?
Well, I know when we hired her, we knew that she was really talented. And the one thing that we asked for is, because it was, quite a process and a long process, especially at a state school to get people hired, that she would give us 2 years. And, she did. And, when she was here, she was thinking about maybe looking at some head coaching positions in college. And she was more than ready to be a mid-major coach and be one of the best in the country. But she got the opportunity to be the assistant for Kurt Miller. They're very close friends and go way back. That was with the Connecticut Sun. And Kurt Miller is one of the best coaches in the country. So, she works for a great coach in the WNBA. And then when she got her opportunity to be a head coach, she was Coach of the Year the first year. I got to go up there that year and watch her practice, and she was just running amazing practices, how quickly she was able to teach concepts and get through things and how much they were able to cover in a short period of time. It was some of the best practices that I've ever seen anywhere. So I know in terms of her coaching, you've got one of the best there at Baylor.
Coach, not just coaching, but recruiting has been a big question that a lot of folks have asked because she's got that defensive pedigree. She's gone to the WNBA where you draft and pull from free agency and it becomes a business. But now in the collegiate game, recruiting the transfer portal and being able to pull out big-time freshmen, especially at a school like Baylor, is key. What can you speak on when it comes to recruiting and Nicki Collen?
Well, Nicki has a great rapport with people. I mean, she was great on our visits. She's somebody that could talk to the parents and have great conversations and develop a relationship and then do the same with a prospective student athlete. We usually gave her the hardest jobs. We gave her a lot of the players that were over our head at FGCU and have her establish a relationship thinking that if once they went BCS and big time, if they didn't have a good experience, maybe they'd think about FGCU if they ever did transfer. And she developed a lot of those great relationships. Unfortunately, she was just there 2 years, so we didn't get a lot of the, bounce back from some of the BCS kids that she was talking to. But she has a way with people, and I don't think she's going to have a lot of trouble recruiting, just based on the experience that I had with her here. She just is able to connect with people so easily.
Coach, when it comes to Nicki Collen getting the job at Baylor, I want to know your first reaction when you heard that she'd be coming to Waco.
Well, I was shocked. There's no doubt about that, because we do stay in contact, and I know she was really excited about the Dream season, but you can't blame her. Baylor's one of the best jobs in the country, and you never know how often a job of this magnitude will come open. And I was just super excited for her that she's in that position. And I'm someone who thinks she's just going to do outstanding there.
Coach, along with that, one of the questions that's been posed is the fact that we've yet to see a record or Coach Collins' repertoire as a head coach in the collegiate game. Is there any reservation there? The fact that she hasn't been the head woman, I should say, at a program yet, or is she ready for that caliber job in the collegiate game?
Well, I mean, she was coaching the best athletes in women's basketball, the best players in women's basketball in the WNBA, and against some, amazing coaches. I can tell you that I have no reservations because her knowledge of the game and her X and O's, I mean, she just is really remarkable. Like, she would be in charge of our, a defensive scout. And I don't know if you've ever gone to like a restaurant where you order and you're in a big group and the server is memorizing all of the orders and not writing anything down. And I always hated that because I would rather the order just be right. Well, we're pretty in depth when it comes to these scouts. So we'll go over 12 to 15 sets and 6-7 out of bounds plays. And she would not bring a single note. She wanted the players to know that she did enough time of the preparation that she had it all memorized. And it was remarkable because I would have notes about all the sets I wanted to see us go over. And she would never forget a point of how they lined up. Any set that they ran, it was just a remarkable thing. And as coaches, we would go over things that we didn't show the team, and we may only, as a staff, look at something once. And I can think of a couple big games that she won because at the end of the game, a special situation would come up and I would forget that we went over something on film and she would remember it. And, we were able to force a turnover or take them out of a sideline, out of bounds play 3 because she remembered something that we just went over one time out of hours and hours of film. So she's just really remarkable in that aspect. And I think if everybody just gives her an opportunity there, you're going to have big results. She's going to do extraordinarily well. She's a winner, and I think she'll continue the tradition of winning at Baylor.
Coach, last couple of questions here for you. This one being, with Baylor next season, you got Nalissa Smith coming back, who will likely be a preseason National Player of the Year, first-team All-American. Queen Egbo, who's a very similar type player. Caitlin Bickle from Alabama, the transfer Jordan Lewis. I mean, the roster, the nucleus is going to be there for Coach Collen to be able to win and win in year one. What does it take? What is your confidence level in her to be able to walk into the program, absorb it, and pull that off, perform in year number one as the head coach at Baylor?
Well, when her first year taking over the Dream, she did exceptionally well and was the coach of the year. But, it's probably a traumatic situation for the players, somebody that they're really invested in left to go to another program. So a lot of it is how quickly Nicki and the players can, kind of get past that situation and understand that they're, in it together to make this year as great as it can possibly be. As you said, there's a lot of really great players on the team, and they have an opportunity to compete for a national championship. If they can kind of set, the trauma of losing a coach aside and start working together, I'm telling you that Nicki is more than capable of leading Baylor to a national championship, even in the first year.
Coach, when it comes to all those that you've worked around in the last 2 decades of coaching, whether it be assistants or other head coaches that you've seen or worked with at camps or whatnot, what gives you what I want to know is what sets Coach Nicki Collen apart from them in your mind, where you say, okay, she's an elite person in this game?
Well, I would say it's how well-rounded she is. Like, somebody who's as good at X and O's and understanding the game. Sometimes they don't have the personality to connect with players as well. Just be able to start a conversation with somebody recruiting and have it, lead to a meaningful relationship. So I would say it's just, she's good at all facets of the job and doesn't really have any real weaknesses. So, I mean, you're talking about an elite X and O person and an elite person of making connections and developing relationship with players. And I don't think that combination happens that often.
Well, you got me sold, obviously, on Nicki Collen so far. And my last question for you, Coach, comes to culture. I know that Mac Rhodes, the Baylor athletic director, and everyone here at Baylor, they're trying to find the right culture fit for this job and someone that embodies, whether it be the faith aspect or just loving people and embracing people in the community. Where does Coach Collen fit in there? How well does she embrace community and culture?
Well, I know it's really important to her, family, and, she's, very, she'll fit in very well with Baylor and the religious aspect as well. She's just, just a great person. I can tell you that everybody who was associated with her here at FGCU loved her, and she maintained a relationship with so many people in our program and all the coaches that she worked with to this day. And I don't think that happens all the time either. After somebody's been gone 5 or 6 years, that there's still that relationship with so many people. But Coach Collen has that.
I love it. Coach, and I know I said that was your last question, but I do want to know, have you been able to reach out to Coach Collen yet, post her getting the job, or have you guys shared any words quite yet?
We did. I mean, we just text a couple times. There's really more congratulations and things of that nature. And I know that she's slammed and she's preparing for the press conference, and she probably had to meet everybody on campus and meet with the team and stuff. So try to be respectful of her time, because I know this first week is just going to be jam-packed with things. So, after that dies down a little bit, I look forward to catching up with her and talking to her on the phone.
Absolutely. Coach, our Bear Games question of the day is what we ask all of our guests and callers that give us. And our Bear Games question today is, what do you got to do day one to win over the locker room? Whether you be Coach Collen, yourself, or anybody else, what does it take day one to win that locker room?
Well, I don't think anything can be won in a day. I think how you develop it, there's nothing you could say day one that is going to get a complete buy-in other than you're there to help. Where I think she's going to get the buy-in is once she gets to work with the players and they can see how good a coach she is and how she's going to be able to help their game and how she is going to care about them, not just as basketball players, but as people. Once she's able to work with them day to day, I think that's where the buy-in will happen.
Wow. Coach Smesko, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on all your success. And I look forward to that national championship meeting between Florida Gulf Coast and Baylor next season.
Well, that would be something. But thank you very much for having me. You've got a great one. You're going to love her. There's going to be big things at Baylor.
I love it. Coach, thanks again. That was Karl Smesko, the head coach of Florida Gulf Coast University. He has built a powerhouse program there. I know you guys saw it going into this season that while Florida Gulf Coast was predicted by many to beat Michigan in the NCAA tournament, and Coach Smesko took a chance on Nicki Collen after her and her husband Tom had parted ways with the University of Arkansas, where they didn't quite meet the standard that Arkansas wanted in their women's basketball program. And he said, hey, out of all these 200 applicants, Nicki Collen is the one that I want on my sidelines. She went to Florida Gulf Coast for 2 years, was then an assistant for the Connecticut Sun, head coach of the Atlanta Dream, and now with the Baylor Bears. That was Karl Smesko, who hired Nicki Collen and worked with her for 2 seasons, saying she is the perfect fit, a great fit at Baylor University, and is going to be big. That, well, Baylor got a good one. I'm Drake Toll. That's Armstrong Sims, Jack McKenzie. That was looking at it from a coaching standpoint, but from the full realm of women's college basketball. How big is this hire? What does this hire do? How does it alter the landscape of the game? Well, Doug Feinberg is going to tell us. Doug Feinberg, the head, the lead, the guy, the man for the AP when it comes to women's basketball writing, joins the show up next. Don't go anywhere. This is Up Tempo.
The Eagle has landed. Nicki Collen, Baylor's new head women's basketball coach, has arrived in Waco with her husband Tom and their 3 kids.